Hey folks, this is Mickey G. I think we'll always be comparing things that will never have a definitive answer. Like the old sayings, you got to be able to compare apples to apples, and there's like 40 different varieties of apples. But me and Rodney talk about who's the GOAT in various sports, and will there ever be a definitive answer? And we talk about other stuff too in this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
It's just amazing what these people do. I'm leery now. It trips me out, which I'm glad now they done put it on these self-checkout machines. Now we can do it, because before you had to go through a cashier when you go to Lowe's, and you're tax exempt, and they give you a military discount here also, but they want your phone number. So you give your phone number out, and so I went into Lowe's one day to buy something, and she was like, what's your phone number for your military and tax exempt? I gave her my phone number. She went off. She named, are you Troy? Are you, hell no. Are you Rodney? I'm like, yeah, I'm Rodney. Somebody else done used my phone number in there. And I'm like, well, how's that? And it took a while for them to get it off of there. I had to get with the manager, and he had to call another place that they won't allow us to do it.
Right.
I had to go through them to get get that name off my number. And I'm like, well, I'll be damned. But you're standing there in line, people behind you in line, and you spouting out your phone number. Well, hell, they can walk up and do the same thing. Oh, 405, and they had that plexiglass up there. I was leaning around it, 405. Damn near whispering it. You don't never know who listening, man.
No, you don't. And it's just, your stuff is just out there. As much as you try to protect it, it just gets out there. But between, like you say, stuff that's in the public domain, that's anybody get access to, and then people who are going out there on the dark web and stuff, getting other information, and then you got, companies who having these data. Matter of fact, I got a thing in the mail from AT&T yesterday. Data breach.
Man.
Go out there and sign up for Experian, credit monitoring, and all that kind of stuff. They had a data breach and dumped all that information on the dark web.
Yeah, I'm on theirs too. I get up there, oh, you done a fantastic job. I'm like, shut the hell up. So you can give it to somebody else, And then when you go in there to check it, I went in there to check it one time, because this is about the third time it's going to happen with somebody, because my credit union had the same thing.
Yep.
And so I went in there to check it. I said, well, I'm going to see what my credit score is. By virtue of clicking this one button, I got subscriptions to 2 different magazines. I'm like, I don't want this, man. So now I'm leery about checking it. So now I know this dude at the credit union. If I ever, sometimes I just like to hear what it is, because this one little boy went off one time. He said, wow, this is the best credit score I've ever seen since I've worked here. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to maintain that. So every so often I might call and say, hey man, you let me know what my credit score is. Yeah, Mr. Turner. Okay. I don't know if they're supposed to do it or not, but he sure does. I think half the time they won't do it unless you trying to borrow something or something. But I'm like, I ain't asking for that. Y'all gonna sign me up for 2 or 3 years or something. It's kind of like that. Yes. Is this Rodney Turner? Yes. Oh, we got you for 3 years.
Yeah, like I say, you got to be careful these days. That's for sure.
No lie.
Yeah. Something I meant to ask you before, man, back during the basketball season and stuff, and I kept forgetting to do it, about your girl, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And her, her record-breaking performance in basketball and stuff. And, and I appreciate, what she's done and all those kind of things by all means. But I said, I think back about other records that have been broken. It seemed like every time it happened, they always want to say, well, you need to put a asterisk by the name because this
Mhm.
went on like Barry Bonds when he broke the home run. Like, well, that was during the steroid era and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And I was going back and I said, you know, can you really compare what she did to what Pete Maravich did back in the day when they had no 3-point line, when they had no shot clock, and all those kind of things. And I'm like, I don't think that's a fair comparison either.
No, it's not. And the other part of that is, you know, the girl can hit some shots. I'll give her that. She can hit some shots. And but there's been buku people come through the league that can hit shots, but they won. She ain't won nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just she's the media darling for those reasons we know why.
Yeah, same thing I said to myself.
Yeah. And because if you look at it, Aja Wilson up there has been tearing up the WNBA for the last 3 years. She ain't got no shoe. She ain't got none of that. Homegirl there, the coach at South Carolina, done had undefeated season, winning national championship, done won how many games in a row? Over 100. They ain't saying nothing. Hell, they played Caitlin Clark in the finals, tore her ass up, and all you heard about it was a Caitlin Clark like she won.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the same thing I was saying. I said it seemed like she's the media darling, where
Yeah,
some of the other players, that especially at South Carolina or the girls at LSU and stuff, were they were not the image that they really wanted to portray. Where she was sort of the all American girl kind of image, and
right.
I said, once again, I just don't think there's a fair
It's not.
comparison when you're trying to say, and even I went back and I saw couple articles where they were talking about this black player back in I guess the '60s when there was girls only played in the NAIA
Yeah,
that has even more points. But of course they don't say anything about that. They want to keep that hush hush. And
yeah,
and I said a lot of people who grew up in that era, when Pistol Pete was playing, you know, probably talked more about his passing ability and playmaking ability as
yeah,
much as they did about his shooting ability,
yeah,
And obviously she, ain't nowhere in the same league as he was when it came down to running the offense and getting the other, other team members involved in the game and stuff. So I
hmm
just I say, well, I just think there's just those times that, she was the chosen one. They finally had somebody who came up and was going to be in those positions that wasn't of color, so
hmm
they had to exploit it as much as they could.
yeah. That's exactly what they did. And the these sports writers are the main instigators. I mean, if you look at it, who fuels the fire about who's the best? It's always the black folks pitted against each other. You don't hear nobody talk about it. Luka Doncic better than Larry Bird.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear nobody talking about them when they have two good players. But every time you know, a black player comes along, he's got to be compared to somebody else, and there's a perceived rivalry between them, like who's the best. I marvel at how they try to compare the greatest, well, one of the greatest, because Will Chamberlain will be the greatest in my book, and then Kareem, you know, in each of their eras. But
Right.
but uh, this King James prima donna sorry ass individual against Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan ain't said nothing. Michael Jordan ain't said nothing about he was the best. He ain't said nothing about. But this sucker done come up and he done fell prey to that stuff. He really believes he's the best. I read an article. Was that last night when I was up to Old Dark 30, where they were talking about him and they talked about when he first broke into the league. And I tell you, I can't help but to compare it to Trading Places. Remember the one with Eddie Murphy when he was on the scooter hustling?
Right.
And they
Right.
trade places with Dan Aykroyd,
Right.
you
Right.
know. Well, this boy came into the league just like Gilbert Arenas said. He wasn't ready. He couldn't shoot a sack of balls up there. All he could do was drive and run over people, and the front office up there told him not to call fouls on the dude. Okay, he fit the image that white NBA wanted to be there. He was a ghetto boy, mama didn't have no husband, didn't do nothing. He fit the narrative, you know, coming out of there, and that's what they wanted to present. Because you ever think about it in the NBA, they always the people that they laud up there, or the people that they want to give the attention to, are always from the hood. They fit that stereotype. Don't none of them ever talk about, okay, for instance, Steph Curry came out about the same time he did, but his mother and father was at home. He come from a middle class neighborhood, so he don't fit the narrative.
Hmm. Hmm.
You got a whole bunch of them brothers out there. I remember years ago when Andrew Toney was playing for the Philadelphia 76ers, and that's when they were always harping about the brothers was being on academic probation, but they never said nothing about him because he graduated in 3 years from Southwest Louisiana. You didn't say nothing about him. You don't say nothing. You didn't say nothing about Grant Hill because, well, y'all love Calvin Hill anyway, but you wouldn't say nothing about him because, you know, he didn't fit that narrative of being the pole. Look what we've developed here. And that's what LeBron James was. He was a project for him. I call him trading places every time I see him on the
I never thought about that with trade places.
Yeah.
I never thought about that analogy.
Yeah. Well, see, Michael was leaving. They needed another image, another,
Hmm. Hmm.
because you remember during that time, everybody that came out after Michael, they were gonna be the next Michael Jordan.
Right. Yeah.
None of them ever panned out.
No.
So they
No.
decided we're gonna make us a Michael Jordan. Because if you remember, he came out, he couldn't throw a sack of balls at the bucket and hit it. He couldn't shoot a jumper. I'm like, man, okay, first off, as my father-in-law used to say, he's an old man. His daddy was an old man, because he looked like an old man out there playing with them 15, 16 years old. He's already in a full man body. Well, yeah, you're going to be good when you're out there doing that. Then they made that, them powers to be, they want to make something. Hey, let's take this guy, you know, he's got the fanfare because they're already talking about him. And because he's up there in Ohio winning state championships. And that's why them Catholic schools was recruiting his ass to get them a winning program.
Hmm.
And but yeah, they came in there and they made him what they wanted him to be. They made him the image for what they wanted to portray, because they can always go back to that where he came from. Now, I'll be the first to admit to you, I don't care for the dude, but I do admire the work that he's done off the court.
Yeah. Yeah.
I give him that. Now that is a serious use of your platform, almost as you can get. But his head has gotten so big that he really thinks he's all that, and he's not. Your records are longevity records. If you play that long, hell, you ought to score more points.
And I think, he you know, sort of took that opposite route to the championships too. That's back when they
Yeah.
was stacking teams. They, he
Mhm.
went to Miami. When he went to Miami, when him and Bosh and Wade and all were down there, it just, that. And I remember Michael Jordan come out and said, if there was how do you say, like, if there was teams that were better than us, I didn't want to go play with them. I wanted to beat them,
Right. Right.
but that was during that era when they were trying to, sort of like stack teams and things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, once again, like I say, a different era, trying to
Mhm.
compare players is always going to be hard to
Yeah.
do that. But who was the guy that came out right? Jordan hadn't retired yet. That they used to call Baby Jordan. It didn't do nothing. I'm trying to think of
That
who
was
that was.
Steve Francis.
Was that who it was? I couldn't remember
I think
who it
it
was. I
was.
remember
Yeah.
he was supposed to be the second coming of Jordan and really didn't do nothing.
Right. Right. If it wasn't Steve Francis, hell, I can't remember. I thought it
I
was
can't remember either. I
because there
can't
were so many of them that came out was going to be the next Jordan, man. They even said about Grant Hill, and they wasn't nowhere near alike as a player.
no.
And but I think it was Steve Francis is who it was down there, and then he got strung out. And but all again, the pitting against one of which one is the best? Why? What does it matter? You ain't talking about Larry Bird like that. You ain't comparing nobody to him.
Mhm.
Or him to nobody. But these brothers always got to get out there, and then the black folks just catch on to it and go, everybody got to choose sides.
Yeah.
How about both of them brothers just being good.
Yeah, I guess if there's anything, you know, positive to take out of the whole discussion is I'm trying to think of how far down the line. I guess it would be Larry Bird, but how far down the line is the first white player come up? I mean, I guess it would be Bird, but I mean, I'm just trying to think of how far down the line his name would even be considered.
Well,
If when
well,
you
here,
consider the whole era of basketball players from like Wilt and Russell all the way down to modern day, I don't even know where he's at.
well, just think about this. Okay, you know, I'm not by nature a conspiracy theorist, but I've lived in this world long enough to know. And the NBA, remember they were kind of losing it a little bit there because the white fans was mad because all the teams were black, pretty much. So then they started subtly drafting the European players and working them in. They draft them. San Antonio Spurs was notorious for drafting them and then letting them stay overseas for 2 or 3 years and then bring them over and get them. Well, they slowly changed the game. Now you can't touch nobody. You can't do nothing. That's the European style basketball. You know, basketball was physical. You know, but now if you breathe on them, you call a foul on your ass. And then the big guys that come from Europe, 7-footers. That's why I get frustrated with listening to Shaq, big old silly ass. Oh, he need to get down in the post. They need to throw the ball into the big man. That's crap that left a long time ago.
Yeah, when you got 7-footers hitting threes, that they
Hit
ain't throwing
three.
nothing down in the post.
Exactly. Exactly. Ain't nobody going, "Oh, you need to establish the inside game." No, the hell you don't. Shit. Only inside game there is if somebody break away and do a dunk on your butt.
Yeah.
You know? And he's so out of touch, it don't even make sense. Him and Barkley both. He said, "Oh, he couldn't have guarded me." Boy, you were a self-check. All they had to do is stand back and let your big fat ass shoot. You ain't gonna hit nothing consistent. And but yeah, man, they changed the game, man, to make it
Yeah.
more appealing because they wasn't getting any homegrown white dude. Larry Bird was a fluke. He's a bad dude though. Larry's a bad boy.
Yeah.
But
Somebody that coming out of college, I said wouldn't do a thing. I
exactly.
said, yeah, he's good in college. Wait till you get to pros. He ain't gonna do nothing in the pros.
Yep.
He proved me wrong. I gotta give it to him. But he was about the only one because I know like Christian Laettner and all them guys that
Oh
were coming
man.
in and wasn't doing nothing.
Yep.
But I gotta give him his props. I didn't think Larry Bird would do nothing. I said he's slow, he can't
Yeah.
jump,
Yeah.
but he took advantage of what little skills he had and made a career out of it.
Yes, he did. He's a bad dude. And uh but yeah, but then now, every team got about 3 or 4 European players.
Yeah. And I think that's why, like you say, the game itself has changed
It's
some
changed.
almost just to cater to that
Yeah.
because it's gotten to the point to where, you can't hardly even, it's almost like in baseball, you can't hardly pronounce the player's name. And, 90% of them, when, after the game, they talk to them, they got to have an interpreter to
Yeah.
interpret what they got to say.
You be
I mean,
you
that just,
you be sitting there talking about, boy, that brother's good right
yeah,
there, man. That brother's good. Then that interview is like, what?
yeah, and like you say, it's gotten to that point in pretty much every sport now. I'd say except probably football. Football, there are some brothers in there with some names that you can't hardly pronounce, but it's not been such a concerted effort. Seemed like to bring in like you say, the European guys in basketball. I will admit, blacks aren't playing baseball nothing like they did in years past. So I can sort of understand why there's so many, Latin players playing because there's just not that many blacks that play baseball anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's gotten to that point to where uh, you it's a whole nother game just because of the people who are playing it.
Yes, sir. And football about to be taken over by them Nigerians because they everywhere.
Yeah, and I didn't even know they knew what all football. I thought they knew was soccer. I
Well,
didn't even know
when they get over here, that's what they get in school. That's what they do.
that.
They Because if you look at it, man, you start looking up there in Joku and you know, you start seeing all these dudes. I'm like, man, look at that brother right there. For a while there, it's like, what kind of name is that? Well, it ain't one of y'all's.
That's for sure.
You know,
Yeah,
they
it's
they they got a bunch of the African brothers that get over here and get Americanized, start playing that football.
oh yeah, they do. I remember back in the day, seemed like the only one that I remember was it what was the guy's name? The what Nigerian night train or what was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
played for Kansas City? I can't
Kansas
think of
City.
his name now.
Yeah, yeah, I can't think of it either.
He's about the only one that I remember, back in the day, but they're all over the place now. But
Yeah, buddy.
uh, I was I was watching that NFL draft the other week, and boy, I tell you, that backstage stuff is starting to become a story within the story,
you
boy.
you better know it.
I can't think of which one it was. One of them players they drafted, they went back there to the green room, as I call it, and I don't know if this was his sister or his girlfriend or just a friend of the family. Man, they went back there. I thought she didn't have a top on. Man, that them boob was hanging out stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
goodness, look at that.
yes, sir.
I'm like, goodness, you got to go back there to the
Hey,
rooms.
you think you at the Oscars or something back
Yeah,
there with all of
I'm
that?
telling you, and
Did,
all
did
them
you see the
suits.
one? Speaking of Africa, did you see the one? Because I was reading an article the other day about they were complaining about all the brothers that's getting drafted and they got white girlfriends.
Yeah.
I was like, boy, this is a mess. That man date who he wanted to date. But anyway, it was an African brother. I think he was from was it Oklahoma or Texas? One of them. I can't no, he may not have been from there. I might be thinking about somebody. Anyway, he was an offensive lineman. He got drafted. His mama was sitting next to him in African garb. She had posted the white girlfriend on the outside of her, And most, like you look at most of the families out there, the husband and wife sit on one side of their son and the girlfriend sitting next to him. She had boxed her out. They was in the NBA. And when they called his name and they jumped up, she stayed over there, wouldn't let the white girl
Yeah,
get by. Did you see that?
I saw that. I saw that one, and the next day Tamara was saying, "Did you see the mom who wouldn't let the girlfriend get in the picture?" And all that stuff?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. She was posting her down low.
Yes,
She was.
sir. I was like, they need to bring her into NBA camp and show them how to box out, boy. The little girl was trying to reach over there. I feel sorry for her. I'm like, damn, man. Move your mama out the way for a minute and let your
Oh,
girlfriend hug
yeah, I saw that. I
you.
saw
Man, it
that.
is something. These mamas be on there be tripping, man. You,
Yeah.
you would think that that's their man.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. And there was the one mother that the little reporter back there got her name wrong. She said, "Oh yeah, and Miss Janie is back. It's Junie."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that wasn't her name, but she got the name wrong. Oh,
Yeah.
she corrected her quick.
Yes, sir. Like everybody's supposed to know what them syllable words y'all be naming these. Everybody know what that is, and they act like they get offended when you don't say it right.
Oh yeah, you could tell she was. It's
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, whatever. It's whatever. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." I'm like, "Yeah, you better get it right."
Man, these folks are something else, man. I'm like, my God. Everybody, this boy done worked hard and got himself in a position, but everybody finna ride that wagon train.
Hmm. Yeah, because most of them had, 10, 15 people around them,
Yeah, yeah.
all of them gonna want a piece of it.
Yes, sir.
I'm like, goodness, but yeah, I said, that's a story within itself. Nobody want to see, Roger Goodell and all that mess. They want to go backstage so they can look at the family and all the dresses and the short
Mhm.
skirts and all that stuff they got on back there.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
And then, like I said, I was reading an article about it. I might have been telling Roslyn that today. I was reading an
mhm.
article last night, I guess, when I was up about a new picture surfaced of the Philadelphia Eagles. Wives and girlfriends had a Christmas party. It was last year. They said 2023. And somebody wrote an article talking about, look at this. I mean, black folks, they picked the stupidest stuff to be concerned with. they raise the question, look, all the wives and girlfriends are white. There's no melanin in there. So what? People date who they want to date. And then they got up there, the quarterback's got a black girlfriend, and that Smith boy from Alabama got a black girlfriend, or it might be his wife, but there's several of them. But anyway, this was a Christmas party. Maybe they didn't come to the party. It's just like society. People hang with their tribe,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and but to make a big issue about it, why is it that well, this one dude came back as a rebuttal and said, well, one of the reasons, and of course Rosalind was like, not all sisters do that. I'm not saying all of them, but just like he said, yeah, I was dating a sister, and when that NIL money come out, all of a sudden she needed her hair done, her feet done. He said, and asking me for money. And then his other dude said, yeah, I was dating a sister. She said, but one thing about it, a white girl, you can take her to Chipotle and she's just fine. She's happy. Sisters want to be wine and dine at 5-star hotels, and I'm like, I can see that. I can see that, because, it's the same thing even before they start giving out that money. Hell, they're always talking about that. Some other girls come over and want to have a good time. Sister wants you to bow down to her and tell her you're going to propose and all that before she. Ain't nobody trying to get that. We in college having fun. If that happens, cool. But I ain't finna sit up here and deal with you when I got somebody willing to go out and just want to have a good time, and we end up where we end up. Now, where you think I'm going?
I saw an article, I think yesterday, day before, on my feed of Tyreek Hill, him and his wife, and all of his baby mamas that
Yeah.
he had babies with. After he's married, I mean, after he was married, all the mamas he's had babies with after he's married and stuff, and uh, and I said too, well, you got to admit sometimes these white girls will put up with a whole lot more than these sisters will too. I mean, they just to be there, they'll do whatever they want or need to do. I'm just thinking, how many people are just gonna be married to somebody and everybody knows that all these other girls has got babies by him too, and that don't bother you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it takes a special person, to be able to handle that. But yeah, I just was looking at all that stuff that was going on backstage and stuff, and I'm like, yes, I said that's where the show is. Yeah, it's good to know who was drafted number 1 and number 2, but after about number 3, nobody cares anymore. They won't see what's going on. They want to go see what's going on backstage.
Man, and the other part of it too is, I mean, all these black folks hollering about the culture and the culture. You don't give a damn about the culture. It's all about you. I was sitting there looking at them, man. Every brother came out of there with shades on. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what the hell you got all them shades on? you know, and it's just like with the women. They're all sitting up there like they done all went to the Korean store and bought all the baby hair in there. Everybody got baby hair hanging down. Like, why is everybody doing the same?
That's the way it is, man.
Man,
They went and got their hair did, they got their
yes, sir.
nails did, they got their feet did, they got all that, they got their hair did, they got all that stuff
Yep.
going.
You got all
You
that
know
makeup,
that.
all that makeup on. You get back to the hotel room, pull that out. Like, who are you? Damn, I was just with this other sister. Now, who are you? I'm like, my goodness, man. I,
Oh yeah, it's funny. I was watching it. I'm like, yeah, that's where the show's at backstage.
well, it certainly is. And
But it
then,
just seemed like there's just like trigger words and things, especially when they talk to the dads that are there. Well,
mhm,
why do you think he got picked number 3? Well, yeah, he put in the work. He put in the work. Well,
mhm,
everybody put in the work. And I'm
mhm,
thinking it'd be nice to hear something a little bit different, but everybody seemed like they got the same kind of words on what their sons had done to deserve it. He put in the work. He put in the work. I was like, okay, that's the going phrase now is he put in the work.
mhm.
So we'll see. When he gets there and gets to the big show. It's all said good backstage at the thing. We'll see what happens when he gets on to the big show and see how they are. But anyway, like I said, it was just funny. Yeah, sisters, we still love you. But just like I mentioned earlier about comparing, there's always going to be that comparison with sisters and ladies of different colors. But we still love you. Hope you enjoyed this edition. Join us the next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.